the funding and announced today, along with a number of other communities across Alberta. To speak to this exciting announcement, I'd like to invite the Honourable Minister Hutchins, Minister of Rural Economic Development, to speak. Minister Hutchins has more than 30 years of experience as a small business owner in the Atlantic Canadian tourism. She's a strong advocate for rural families and workers. As Minister Hutchins has served in the role of Minister of Rural Economic and Focus, a focus has been on accelerating high-speed internet across for all Canadians, as well as improving rural housing, transit, and work opportunities.
Thank you, Corey, and friends, good afternoon. Thank you, Elder Wolflag McSeacom, for leading us in prayer to begin today. Chief Crowfoot and the Siksika Nation, thank you for hosting us in Blackfoot territory. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the land in which we are gathered as our traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which includes the Siksika Nation, the Biguni Nation, the Kainai Nation, and the Blackfoot Nation. Minister Glubish, Nate, always a pleasure to be in your company. Nate is Alberta's Minister of Technology and Innovation. And to everybody gathered in the room, thanks so much for being here today. It's my first time in this area. And one thing I'm privileged to do as I travel the country is find magical places. And a fine young man, I don't see him in the room now, but I know Shiloh gave me an incredible tour of this facility. So if you haven't been through this building, and I'm sure everybody who lives here has, go and get a tour and be moved, learn about this area, learn about the history, learn about the challenges, learn about the opportunities. And that's what we're here about to talk about today. Because we know that internet is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity in the way of life. And you know, internet is just not for watching Netflix. As the chief spoke about earlier, you know, it's important for kids doing your homework online, for you working from home, FaceTiming with your loved ones. It's for you to run and promote your small business. It's for virtual health care. And it's a vital connection in times of emergencies. So simply putting it, it levels a playing field for folks all across this magical country, no matter where you live, but especially for rural Canadians. So our federal government is committed to providing high-speed internet access to 98% of Canadians by 2026 and 100% by 2030. So in 2014, just 79% of Canadians had access to affordable, reliable, high-speed internet, and today we're at 93.5%. So Canada's invested over $3 billion in the Universal Broadband Fund alone, which is the fund we're talking about today. And we've had many other tools in our toolbox to help us reach our goal of connecting all Canadians by 2030. And since 2015, your federal government has invested over $488 million to improve connectivity all across Alberta, and the results are speaking for themselves. Because in Alberta, this means now nearly 9 in 10 households have access or will soon. So in everyday numbers, that means 90% of Albertans are connected, and projected of 97.7% of households will have access by the end of 2026. So today's investment is part of a $780 million that we committed together with the government of Alberta in March of 2022 to eliminate the digital divide and connect 100% of Albertans to high-speed internet. Minister Glubish and I announced that on a cold, beautiful day like today in a grain elevator, because I was determined we were going to do it in a rural part of Alberta, because we need to show every part of Alberta that we're there to help them. And as I said, nearly 9 in 10 Albertans already have access or are targeted by a project that is underway. But you know what? We didn't just commit to get 9 out of 10 Albertans connected. We committed to connecting everyone, and we're all working hard to make that happen. And today, we're here to announce we're taking another step to bring high-speed internet access to rural and remote and Indigenous communities all across Alberta. So the federal government, along with the government of Alberta, is providing access to more than 22,500 homes in 166 communities all throughout Alberta. And over 3,400 of these homes are Indigenous households. Together, we're investing over $112 million to build up high-speed connectivity in your province. The funding recipients are Advanced Interactive Canada, ATG Aero Technology Group, Bragg Communications, Canadian Fiber Optics, Eastern Irrigation District, GPN Wireless Networks, I Want Wireless.ca, the Malu Holdings, Red Deer County, Siksika Nation, Slave Lake Communities, and Yellowhead County. These 14 projects are significant long-term investments in the connectivity all across Alberta. They're be completed over the next 3 years. You know, I like to research where I'm going and the magical parts. And I'll be back, Chief. I promise. I read in your nation's newspaper, I think you call it the Atsaniki, how the collaboration in your community, but not only with those that have knowledge in the IT sector, but I loved it when I read that you're collaborating with the community itself. So you're sharing the resources of your elders. You're taking the wisdom, the knowledge, and the experience and working with those that have the IT knowledge. It's going to prepare you to be ready and to embrace the opportunities that high-speed internet has. For rural and remote economies, these projects are going to have an immediate impact. As you said, Chief, students will be able to access their classes online, which is so important. And the installation projects, the process that that goes through is going to create even more and more jobs in all your communities. So for folks in rural and remote and Indigenous communities in Alberta, a dependable high-speed internet connection can be life-changing. It's better access to health care, to education, to help when you need it. Thank you to everyone involved in making today's announcement possible. And thank you, Chief, for the warm welcome to your territory. And now I'll pass it all back to Corey. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Minister Hutchins. Just to elaborate back on the collaboration we have with our IT department. So during the pandemic, we noticed there was a gap between our infrastructure for internet. So we weren't meeting the right standards for it. So in collaboration, we've a couple of our Blackfoot Tech members we have here today, founding members, all our IT departments across the nation have banded together to help improve internet on the reserve. And as a result, we are here today gathered for the UBF project. So just a little to speak on that there. Up next, sorry. I'd like to invite up the Honorable Nate Gulish, Alberta's Minister of Technology and Innovation. Prior to his political career, Nate Gulish dedicated his professional life to building and investing in Alberta's technology companies. In October 22, Minister Gulish was sworn in to lead the newly created Ministry of Technology and Innovation, where he continues to lead the modernized government and government services and led the efforts to attract more investments in Alberta's technology sector. Minister Gulish, thank you.
Well, thank you, Corey. Thank you, Chief Crowfoot, for your hospitality here today. Thank you, Elder Wolflag, for your beautiful prayer and opening remarks. Thank you, Minister Hutchings, for being here with me for this really exciting announcement. But before we begin, I too also would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on Blackfoot territory, which, as I'm learning today from Chief Crowfoot, it's important not to forget that the Blackfoot history and all that has taken place on these lands. And yes, it's a part of Treaty 7, but it's deeper than just Treaty 7. And so let us acknowledge today the history of that land that we are gathered on. I also want to acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who do share a deep connection with the land. I'm very pleased to be here in Siksika for this announcement. Not just because we have something exciting to talk about in terms of technology and innovation and connectivity and broadband investments, but because this is a chance for me to get to know a whole new community of First Nations that I've never met before and learn about their history, learn about the challenges that they have experienced in their lives and in previous generations, and learn about how that has shaped and contributed to Alberta. It's important to me as an MLA to always be open to meeting folks who are from different walks of life and listening to them and learning from them so that I can be better informed as a policymaker. I can make better decisions and make sure that I am considering the needs and priorities of all Albertans, including those folks living here in Siksika who have Blackfoot heritage. So thank you, Chief Crowfoot, for helping to teach me a little something new today. This historical place sits on land that was once a meeting place for important buffalo hunting grounds for Indigenous peoples for thousands of years, and it is a cultural and geographical center of Blackfoot territory, and so it's fitting that this is now designated as a National Historic Site and an important cultural center that showcases Siksika Nation's rich language and culture and traditions. And I can't think of a better place for us to make this announcement. And of course, you heard from Minister Hutchings from the federal government, but let me also say I am so excited to announce that the governments of Alberta and Canada are jointly investing $112 million through the Universal Broadband Fund to improve high-speed internet access to more than 22,500 households across rural, remote, and Indigenous communities in Alberta. And Siksika Nation is included in that and will receive $14.6 million to connect 1,356 households in Siksika number 146, Strangmuir, Stobart, Bartstow, Arrowwood, Gleichen, Anastasia, Sholdis, Cluny, and Siksika. All of those communities are, as a result of this investment, going to have access to reliable high-speed internet. As technology evolves, we can see now more than ever that technology itself, it's not just an industry, but it is actually the future of every industry. There's not an aspect of our lives that technology doesn't touch. From education to healthcare to every aspect of any kind of business that you might want to be a part of, to agriculture and everything in between. Every aspect of our lives is touched by technology. And without connectivity, that technology is meaningless. So as we look for ways to provide a better life for all Albertans, and including Albertans from rural, remote, and Indigenous communities, we need to solve the connectivity problem. And that is why I'm so proud to have brought forward the Alberta Broadband Strategy in 2022, which included our $390 million commitment in partnership with the federal government, who's matching us dollar for dollar, to ensure that we reach 100% of Alberta households by 2027 to ensure reliable high-speed connectivity. Chief, we were talking about this before. You had expressed your hope that this is not just an announcement on paper, it's not just a commitment of dollars, but it's a commitment to the end result. And that end result of ensuring that every member of your community has access to reliable high-speed internet is one that we share. And so I want to make that commitment to you today. This is a huge investment into your community and to many others, but we're about getting the job done. So let's consider this the beginning of an important partnership. We'll work closely together with you and your community leaders to make sure that we get the job done. Because this is so important for our kids, to make sure that no matter what life may throw at us, whether it be a pandemic, which we've lived through recently, or who knows what may come down the line, we want to make sure that our kids have access to high quality education. And sometimes that means being able to do homework from home, but still check on an assignment online, or to be able to interact with your teacher online, or interact with other students online. It means better access to post-secondary education for folks who want to better their career prospects, but maybe they can't leave their home community to go up to Edmonton or to Calgary or to Lethbridge or to one of the other centers where there is a university or college. We want to make sure that access to online programming is something that every single Albertan, no matter where you live, is something that you can access. And that is why investments in connectivity are so important. We want to make sure that every current or aspiring entrepreneur and business owner has the ability to interact not just with their home community, but with every market around the world. and access through connectivity, with better connectivity. That's the only way we can make that happen. And so by making these historic investments in connectivity, we can open up so much opportunity to raise the standard of living of every Albertan across the province, no matter where they live. And that is our commitment as a government of Alberta. And that is why we are making our broadband investment such a big priority. We are committed, as I said, to ensuring that every Albertan across the province has access to universal, high quality, reliable internet by 2027. I think we are well on our way to achieving that. And today's announcement puts us that much closer. So just to give you a little bit of context on what we've accomplished to date, at Tech and Innovation, we have been working on 27 different projects that serve at least one Indigenous household. These projects in total are valued at $474 million and will require $284 million of public sector funding, which is coming, as I mentioned, dollar for dollar matching between the federal government and the provincial government. And those projects will bring connectivity to an estimated 95,430 households, which includes more than 8,400 Indigenous homes. Alberta's broadband strategy is an important part of Alberta's future and is going to make life better for so many families all across our province. This is a good news story for all Alberta too, because we know that by bringing universal connectivity, we will see an increase, an estimated increase in Alberta's GDP growth of $1.7 billion. This is good news for every Albertan. We know that this is going to help to create new jobs all across the province. In fact, we estimate close to 2,000 new jobs in rural Alberta alone. We also know that once this program is complete, up to 40,000 Albertans without access to primary health care today will have improved access through digital health options. And we know that the cost in order to provide those health services will be far more affordable as a result. We know that more than 120,000 students will have improved access to remote education, and we look forward, as I said, to supporting even more communities and businesses and families very soon. Alberta will become even more vibrant in just a few years as we secure universal connectivity across the province. Today's investment is yet another important step forward to reaching that goal. So thank you again, Chief Crowfoot, for your hospitality here in Blackfoot territory. Thank you for your collaboration on the projects in your community. Thank you, Minister Hutchings, for your collaboration on the investment. Thank you again, Elder Wolflag, for, again, your hospitality and for your kind words at the beginning of our program today. And with that, I'd like to pass it back to Corey to keep the program rolling. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Minister Gublish. We kind of have an added agenda item here before we move forward to Chief Orey Crowfoot. We'd like to invite Shiloh up here.
Okay, Sanadapi, Nistuni Daningu Apwinam. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Apwinam. My government name is Shiloh Clark, and I work here at Blackfoot Crossing Historical Park as our communications coordinator. It is an absolute honor to be able to be in the presence of our ministers here today. And so if I can invite you both back up here, on behalf of Blackfoot Crossing Historical Park, we have a gift that we would like to present to the both of you. You're so welcome. So if we could give another hand to the minister. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Why don't we give another round of applause to our guests, Minister Gubish and Minister Hutchins here again for giving us good speech. Finally, I'd like to welcome Chief Ori Crowfoot to share a few words. This is Crowfoot's second term as Chief of Siksika Nation, and he has been a tremendous supporter of our initiative to bring high-speed internet to Siksika, for which we are so grateful for his support. Mr. Chief.
Okay, nuksuk wakes, Niswanako, Nukske stomach, Ginina Sikshiga. I'd like to introduce my council, NNH. We got Tracy McHugh, Kendall Pantherbone, Luann Soloway, Marsha Wolfcollar, Candace Backfat, and we had some others here, but they had other obligations. But this is did I miss anyone? Owen, sorry. Owen Crane Bear. This is an initiative that's supported not only by the chief of Siksika, but all of NNH, all of the leadership know the importance of the technology and the connectivity. I'd like to start off by thanking our Elder Wolfleg for starting us off in a good way this afternoon, as well as welcoming Minister Hutchinson and Glubish to Blackfoot Crossing Historical Park. This is a very historical landmark place that we're standing at right now. In 1877, right over my shoulder, the Blackfoot Treaty was signed by Siksika and Gaina Pigani and some other nations. And so this is a very historical landmark, but also a historical announcement. You know, I'm pleased to be amongst those receiving this funding announcement today. And we look forward to working with the federal minister as well as the provincial minister on making sure this project is seen to be in every household and Siksika. First Nation people have been innovators in technology since time immemorial. And the Blackfoot people have always been strong in the area of information and communication technologies. Even so, the digital divide is a current and increasing reality for Siksika Nation. Simply put, we do not have reliable access to high-speed internet like many communities across Alberta and Canada. And this lack of high-speed internet was really exposed during the time of COVID. We have a lot of students that were staying home across the province, across the world for that matter, that were remote via internet into classrooms. And because of the size of our nation and the sparsity of the internet, a lot of the connectivity just wasn't there. And so some of our students ended up actually being held back a year because of missing so many days of school and not being able to connect and or having to drive from their home to the city to get that connectivity to go to school. And so this presents challenges, as I just mentioned, in terms of the nation's economy, education, healthcare, and even the ability to meaningfully connect with one another. High-speed internet has been a priority for Siksika Nation for many years now, but making this a reality is no small feat. Siksika Nation is the second largest nation from a land perspective in Canada. It's covering more than 710 square kilometers. With our people and their homes located throughout. So to bring high-speed internet in an interconnected network capacity to Siksika Nation needed a sophisticated solution. And again, I'd like to thank the ministers for working with Siksika to help us come up with those solutions. With this funding provided by the Universal Broadband Fund that supports Siksika Nation leadership, the hard work of the Blackfoot Tech Group, volunteers, some of the elders, it was all nation collaboration to get to where we're at now. And at the end of the day, we're fighting for equitable opportunities. A lot of times when you hear us talk at Siksika, I don't think any First Nation is looking for handouts. It's just hand ups. And how can we create these meaningful partnerships with both the provincial government as well as the federal government to create that opportunity of equitableness? You know, like the goal of my vision is to be able to, as somebody's driving across the reserve, to not know that they're on the reserve when they come into the reserve. There's not a downshift in housing. There's not a downshift in roads. There's not a downshift in connectivity. It's that equitable across all of Alberta and across Canada. I think that's what myself and the rest of the NINAICs are striving for. We all have children, grandfathers, grandchildren, and you know, that's our goal. That's what gets us moving. That's why we have these ancestors behind us. My mother was Sishwiaki. She was the president of Olson College and a big pusher of education. She would often tell me, we have to have a computer in one hand and a drum in the other hand. It's important to know that traditional historical knowledge that makes you Sikshiga that is unique from any other group of people in the world. But you also have to have that modern day education and those technology and those tools that are going to keep you as that modern day buffalo. So it's those words that I hear from my mother, my grandfather Cecil, my great grandfather Akinum. He was a chief. This is his design, one of his designs. So that's some of the ways we honor our elders and our grandfathers is our designs, our beadworks, and it's pushing this work forward. That's not just me standing up here. There's a long line of Chief Crowfoots all the way back to Issupo, the head signer of one of the Blackfoot Treaty, right across my shoulder here. So anyway, I could be up here all day. I think my time's running out, but I just want to thank again my council, NINAICs, for all the support and pushing this forward, as well as the Blackfoot Council, the Blackfoot Tech Council. They've done a lot of legwork to push this forward, as well as our elders and our community members, because you know we want to make sure we can reach all those areas, because again, it's about equitable partnerships, equitable opportunities that is going to really push Alberta and push Canada to that next level. So thank you, ministers, and I look forward to working with you more and more on these kind of initiatives. And I'd like to say, have a good day again.
Everybody, Chief Crowfoot. Thank you all for joining us today for this exciting announcement. We'll now move on to the period of the media questions. I'd like to invite the minister's team to moderate this session.
Thank you, Corey. We're going to move into the media Q&A. For any local media in the room, please line up at the microphone, which is placed behind the camera there. And we will start on the phones. Operator, can you please put through our first caller?
We have a question from Alex Bollingal, Toronto Star. Please go ahead. Hi, yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Is this my voice sounding in the room?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. I just have a question for the minister about the rural pop-up for the carbon price rebate. There's been some criticism that the rural top-up is not available in some communities that consider themselves rural. So I'm wondering what your response is to that, and whether the government is open to reviewing the dividing line, or how it distinguishes between rural and urban communities in doling out those rebates.
Look, thanks for the question, and thanks for virtually being here today. The rural top-up does apply in Alberta, and a family of four gets $2,200 when that comes into place. We increase the rural top-up to 20% because we know things are different in rural Canada, but in Alberta, a family of four will be getting, it's just over $2,200 when it comes to the doubling of the top-up comes up in effect in April.
Did you have a follow-up, Alex?
Yes, no, sorry, that doesn't answer my question about how the government divides rural communities from urban communities in deciding who gets those rebates. There are some communities defined as rural in some places that consider themselves, or defined as urban, sorry, that consider themselves rural, but they don't get the top-up. So is that something that you guys are grappling with, and is that something you're willing to look at and fix?
So the formula that's used is done by Statistics Canada, and that's a formula that's used. I know it's been brought up to Environment Climate Change Canada because they're the ones that disseminate this program. But for now, that's the formula, that's the program that's used. It's the Stats Canada definition.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Alex. Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
The next question is from Catherine Grifkowski over at Today. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. This question is for Minister Glubish. Looking at budget 2024 in the 23-24 forecast, I see a $167 million decrease in the grant funding for the Alberta broadband strategy, and a lot of that grant money has been reprofiled, with a lot of it coming at the end, 2026, 27. What was behind the reprofiling of those grants?
Yeah, thank you for the question. As you may know, the Alberta government has committed $390 million in total to the broadband initiative over a 4-year period. And of course, we had a great ambition to try and spread that out evenly over those 4 years. But what we found was to get through the due diligence on all of the applications that were coming forward to the Universal Broadband Fund that now we are jointly administering on Alberta projects with the federal government. It took us a little longer than we would have liked to get the first few tranches of projects approved, funded, and shovels in the ground. And so as a result, money that we had originally anticipated being going out the door a little bit earlier is being pushed back a little bit farther into the later years of that commitment. But the good news is we believe we're still on track to the goal of by 2027 reaching universal connectivity. And we're working hard to get that done. And today's announcement, I think, is a great step forward, demonstrating that we're getting dollars out the door, we're getting shovels in the ground, we're getting real projects built.
Catherine, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, and you had mentioned how important this connectivity is to other strategies, virtual healthcare, education, rural economic development. How is that going to impact strategies in other ministries?
Well, I think, you heard me talk a little bit earlier, and you heard Minister Hutchings talk a little bit earlier about all the reasons why connectivity is so important, and that is why the government of Alberta is committed to deploying $390 million over the next 4 years to get us to universal connectivity. And as I said earlier, also, there's not an aspect of our daily lives that is not touched by technology, and without connectivity, that technology is useless. So we've got to get this done. I'm looking forward to working with all of my colleagues in every different government department to look for ways to use more technology in how we deliver services, so we can deliver better, faster, and smarter services to every single Albertan, no matter where they live in the province. And so when you take together our initiatives on bringing more technology into the services we deliver, coupled with better connectivity to every Albertan by 2027, that's a recipe for success.
And if I might just add, technology is changing, as Minister Glubish said, daily. When you see applications in the agriculture field, when you see applications for small businesses, when you have an active and virtual presence online, your customer doesn't have to walk in the door now. Your customer can find you online. And there's stories, as Nate's heard and I've heard, of the benefits of having this connection. It's for healthcare, as we alluded to earlier, and it's for telling the story of where we are today. Charlotte was telling me how they're revamping the web presence here. This is how you get your story out. Many ways, but the new digital world is there. And another comment on how we do the due diligence on when the applications are submitted. Both our levels of government do incredible due diligence. We're responsible for taxpayers' money. So applications are assessed on technology that's being used. We want to make sure that technology is scalable, and it's better, it's great for the future. We want to make sure that it's affordable. We want to make sure that there's no overlapping. And we do the work on the ground. So before the projects are announced, to make sure that it's best use of taxpayers' money to do our both goals. Our end goal is similar. We want to get all Canadians, all Albertans connected to reliable, affordable, high-speed internet.
Great. Thank you, ministers. Last call if there's any media in the room. Great. Operator, can you please put through our next caller?
There are no other callers in queue at this time.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. That concludes our media Q&A.
Good job, Mr. Good job.